Every time you put a cream on your face, someone, somewhere, is making money from your fear of getting older. Behind every promise of perfect skin, there's a billion-dollar industry selling not just beauty, but insecurity. And the most unsettling part? It was all carefully planned, from the very first lipstick to the serum you apply before bed. Today, you'll discover what they never wanted you to know. Welcome to BeautyMIND. This is the hidden side of the cosmetics industry. Long before dazzling storefronts, million-dollar campaigns, and flawless filters, beauty was already powerful enough to move entire empires. Before it was an industry, beauty was power itself. Between desert dust and temple gold, one of humanity's greatest obsessions was born: appearance. The desire to be seen, to be admired, to be remembered. In ancient Egypt, the sparkle in Cleopatra's eyes wasn't mere vanity. It was politics. It was magic. It was control. She dipped her fingers into a black blend of galena and lead, tracing a perfect line around her eyes. People believed kohl could ward off evil spirits and earn divine protection. But as it highlighted her gaze, the poison slowly seeped through her skin. From the very beginning, beauty came with a price. Centuries later, in ancient Rome, the ideal of perfection took a new form. Women covered their faces with cerussa, a white powder made from pure lead. Pale skin was the mark of nobility, and the paler it became, the closer it was to death. Elegance could kill, and no one dared to question it. During the Renaissance, beauty became a spectacle. Italian and French courts no longer competed for power, but for appearance. Queens and courtesans wore makeup like armor, concealing wrinkles, blemishes, and fatigue beneath layers of powder. The face became a mask, and behind it, a silent cry for acceptance. Because back then, and perhaps even now, a beautiful woman couldn't age, couldn't sweat, couldn't be human. When rice powder replaced lead, many thought a new era had begun. But the truth is, the poison merely changed its name. It was still there, invisible, accepted, desired. Beauty was the mirror of status, and status in turn reflected obedience. In the 19th century, something shifted. Machines began to hum, factories multiplied, and what once belonged only to the nobility became the people's dream. The Industrial Revolution didn't just transform the economy, it industrialized desire. Colorful bottles, scented soaps, lotions in glass jars. Beauty now fit neatly on a shelf. For the first time, being beautiful wasn't inheritance, it was purchase. And that's how a new illusion was born, the illusion of choice. The ads promised, buy this cream and you'll be admired. Wear this perfume and you'll be desired. Paint your lips and the world will see you differently. The words were promises, but the promises were only reflections of an ancient trick. Beauty was still power. The difference was that now it came with a price tag. No one questioned what was inside the bottles, because the label said exactly what everyone wanted to hear. Miraculous, rejuvenating, perfect. And so, the world believed beauty could be bought. But that was only the first act. The true empire of beauty was yet to be born. At the dawn of the 20th century, beauty stopped being a cultural tradition and became a business. As the world changed with wars, factories, and the new dreams of modern life, a few names emerged that would, unknowingly, shape humanity's reflection. In Paris, a young chemist named Eugène Schuller created a formula to color hair. He called it L'Oréal. In New York, a visionary woman, Estée Lauder, began selling creams in small shops, promising youth with just a touch. She wasn't just selling cosmetics, she was selling the idea that every woman could control time. Meanwhile, across the country, Revlon was turning red lipstick into a symbol of female power. It was no longer just color, it was attitude. Freedom disguised in a tube of paint, and so, the empire was born. The industry realized something that changed everything. Selling beauty meant selling hope. And hope, unlike makeup, doesn't wash off with soap and water. Magazines began teaching women how to fix imperfections. Commercials started telling them what was missing. And the brands were ready to sell the cure. Beauty became consumption. And consumption became dependence. Every decade brought a new ideal. In the pinup era, to be sensual. In the 60s, to be free. In the 80s, to be powerful. In the 2000s, to be perfect. But the ideal was never meant to be reached. It was meant to be chased. With every trend shift, a new collection. With every new insecurity, a new product. And the wheel kept spinning. Faster, pricier, more addictive. While millions of women bought dreams, profits grew in silence. The brands multiplied, but the power stayed in the same hands. L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, each one controlling dozens of names, all claiming to be unique, yet selling the same disguised desire. Today, the empire is invisible, but its reach is absolute. The global cosmetics industry now exceeds $600 billion a year, enough to feed nations, or to sustain a system that profits from insecurity. And the more they sell self-esteem, the more they earn from its absence. Beauty today isn't about who you are. It's about what you buy to try to be. And yet, the real secret of modern beauty isn't found in bottles or ads. It hides in something smaller, quieter, almost invisible: the ingredients. Behind the delicate fragrances and silky textures lies a world most people never see. The label says, deep hydration. The commercial promises advanced technology. But deep down, every bottle is a small chemical experiment, packaged in hope. Inside, you'll find names that sound harmless, almost too scientific to raise suspicion. Parabens, phthalates, triclosan. They're the ones that make perfume last, keep creams from spoiling, and give lipstick its lasting shine. But they're also the ones that slowly enter the body, build up in the blood, and disrupt what's most delicate in us: our hormones. Research began to uncover what no one wanted to hear. Studies linked these compounds to allergies, endocrine disorders, and even serious diseases. And still they remained, hidden in secret formulas and tiny print. In 2019, a global investigation found that over 60% of popular cosmetics contained potentially toxic ingredients, many banned in other countries. The brand's response? Silence. When questioned, they repeated the same rehearsed lines. All our products undergo rigorous safety testing, but what's rarely said is how those tests were done. For decades, animals were used as the beauty industry's shield. Their bodies became testing grounds. Eyes burned, skin scraped, pain in silence, all of it. In the name of a lipstick, a shampoo, a mascara. In 2013, the European Union completely banned animal testing. It was a victory, but only partial. Because outside Europe, millions still die every year in labs that insist on calling suffering safety. When public pressure grew, the brands changed strategy. They created a new disguise. The era of clean beauty was born. Green packaging, leaves on the labels, gentle words like natural, organic, sustainable. But in most cases, it was just makeup over the same poison. The so-called green beauty became a product, not a transformation. The truth is, the problem was never just inside the bottles. The problem was, and still is, behind them, in the belief that beauty must be bought. That worth depends on skin glow, hair volume, and the promise printed on a label. But now, a new movement is rising. A group beginning to see what others ignored. People who have decided that beauty isn't a product. It's awareness, and here, a new story begins. While major brands hid their secrets behind catchy slogans and colorful labels, a new generation began to see what others couldn't. They weren't executives or ad men. They were curious young minds, independent scientists, digital creators, and consumers tired of being deceived. They started reading between the lines, researching ingredients, questioning promises, turning indignation into awareness. That's how a new movement was born. Quiet at first, but impossible to ignore. Conscious beauty. Small brands began to appear, with simple, honest, almost revolutionary ideals. No parabens, no cruelty, no lies. Instead of hiding formulas, they showed them with pride. Instead of selling an ideal, they offered purpose. And slowly, they earned what no million-dollar campaign could buy: trust. The internet became the mirror of change. For the first time, people started telling their own beauty stories. No retouching, no filters, no shame. Social media, once a breeding ground for comparison, began to reveal vulnerability. And from that vulnerability, something new was born: empathy. The pressure grew so strong that even the giants began to shift. Centuries-old brands that had dictated beauty standards for decades were forced to change their tone. L'Oréal, Unilever, Estée Lauder, all started reviewing products, creating green lines, adopting words like sustainable, ethical, vegan. But the public already knew, real change doesn't live on a label. It lives in intention. For the first time in centuries, the industry had to listen, not to shareholders, but to the voices of conscious consumers. Today, millions of people would rather pay more for transparency than spend less on a lie. And that simple act, repeated every day, has started to change the system from the inside out. Beauty stopped being just aesthetic. It became ethical, a choice, a form of awareness. Makeup still exists, creams still fill the shelves, but now there's something different in the eyes of those who buy. There's doubt, curiosity, purpose. Maybe for the first time in history, beauty is freeing itself from illusion. And ironically, the more genuine it becomes, the less it needs approval. Because the new beauty doesn't seek to please the mirror. It seeks to awaken the one who looks into it. For centuries, beauty was measured by mirrors that showed only what the world wanted to see. They reflected faces, shapes, appearances, but hid what truly mattered. The mirror never told the whole story. It didn't show the tears behind perfect eyeliner or the anxiety beneath flawless skin. It didn't reveal the constant comparison, the fear of not being enough, the loneliness that grows when your reflection becomes your prison. Today, when we look into the mirror, we're still searching for what's missing. One less line, one more curve, a standard that shifts before we can ever reach it. But what if true beauty was never on the surface? What if it has always lived in the unseen? In care, in awareness, in the simple act of respecting your body and the time that lives within it. Beauty isn't perfection. It's presence. It's choice. It's the reflection of what no one else can see, but you can feel. When you look at yourself with kindness, something changes. The mirror stops being a judge and becomes a window again. A window inward, where the real lives, where the soul breathes. The industry can sell bottles, formulas, and promises, but true radiance fits in none of them. Because the kind of glow that transforms doesn't come from what you apply to your skin, but from what you nourish in your mind. In the end, beauty is a state of consciousness. It's the moment you realize you don't need to fit a standard to live fully, that no product in the world can create what already exists within you. And when that realization comes, something shatters, the invisible mirror. The one that, for so long, reflected what others wanted to see, finally disappears. What remains is truth. Beauty has always been there, silent, independent, authentic. You are the only formula the world will never be able to copy, and once you understand that, no display window will ever deceive you again. Beauty is mind. Mind is truth. Until the next reflection.